What did I just see? What?
Far Side Movie Reviews.
All right, Farsighter. So the hour is late and I'm a little more mellow. So you're going to get a different type of review from Al. A gentler, a calmer review. Guys, let's talk about Kong Skull Island. I just got back from the theaters checking the film out, so I figured I would hop on and share my thoughts about this film, and then you can decide whether or not this is a movie you are going to go check out. So, this movie is directed by Jordan Vogt Roberts. If that name sounds familiar to you, then that means you probably follow indie films, and he had a very successful indie film called Kings of Summer. The movie stars John C. Reilly, Brie Larson, Samuel Jackson, and Tom Hiddleston, Loki. And the film surrounds a band of explorers who find an uncharted island, and of course, on that island is Kong and a number of other amazing things. And that's all I'll say without spoiling anything for you. So, guys, let's get into what I thought about this movie. This is not a very good film, and it's interesting because, at least right now, I would appear to be in the minority because it seems like this film is getting pretty good remarks, at least from what I saw. I know that it has like an 80 on Rotten Tomatoes right now, and I think like a fan score of like 93 on Rotten Tomatoes. And then some of the other reviews I saw were pretty favorable of this movie, and I really can't figure out why. Now, I will say that when I saw the trailers for this, I thought, wow, man, this looks like it could actually be pretty good. And I'm a big fan of Peter Jackson's Kong, so I actually like that adaptation a lot better than I like this adaptation. But I did have high hopes for this, and even with the characters in the film, I had high hopes for this, but kind of none of those hopes panned out. So let's get into the problems that I had with this film. And then there is one thing I thought that was pretty nice about this film, and I'll talk about that also. But let's start with the issues in this film. And I'm going to kind of talk about the acting and the script kind of synonymously. We're going to talk about those kind of interchangeably because I think that one bears on the other. So the performances in this film were not good. I mean, they were underwhelming at best. But I don't think that that is the fault of the actors. I mean, we do have some performers in this film that we know are really good in front of the camera, but I don't think that they were given much to work with. I think that the performances suffered in this film because the script was just that bad in this film. Now, if you guys saw my review for Triple X, The Return of Xander Cage, there were times when I really was going to walk out the theater, and there were other times where literally my hand was shaking and I had to resist getting on Twitter and tweeting about how bad that film actually was during the movie. And I kind of felt that way about Kong Skull Island. I mean, I literally I was shaking my head and I was like, who wrote this? I mean, oh, the lines are so bad in this movie, and you kind of felt bad for some of the actors in this movie because they felt hamstringed by the lines that they had to deliver. At no point does this script really take any time to develop any of these characters, so they almost all feel expendable. And even the ones that you do care a little bit about, you don't care enough about them such that if you see them get eaten by a crocodile or something, it's not going to matter to you because there's no real connection with any of these characters, and the script doesn't take the time to do that. And I get that maybe time constraints where there are things like that, but there are a number of devices that you can use to really kind of try to create some emotional connection. You could use montage, you could use a number of different things, which I think actually would have fit into this film if that device was used correctly. But none of that is done. So what we have here is we have performances that are underwhelming due to a script that is poorly written. So you really don't care about any of the characters, and you don't really know much of the motivation behind many of these characters as well. They do try to develop Samuel Jackson's character a little bit, so you have some idea why he wants to go on this journey. But then there are some other people that are on this journey as well, and you're not really sure why they're there. I'll tell you, you know what? It almost feels like the writer just said, you know what, we're going to write some stuff, womp, 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 just to get us to the island so that they could wow us with the cinematography of all the amazing things that we're going to see on the island. That's how it felt to me. So the script was definitely underwhelming, and as a result of that, the performances were underwhelming. They just were not good in this film. I will say that John C. Reilly was actually, there were some times where he was pretty funny in this film. So the times you saw him in the trailers, he did kind of live up to that character in the movie. I will give John C. Reilly that. But there were a number of good actors and actresses in this movie that were totally not utilized to their capacity as to what they can be in front of the camera, and that was due by and large with the script. So let's talk about the directing slash cinematography. We'll kind of talk about those together as well. So the cinematography in this film was pretty good. I will say there were some scenes that were pretty impressive where they showed Kong and where they kind of showed him in action. They were pretty impressive. But then on the other hand, there were some scenes that just were so clearly CGI. And there was one scene where I thought to myself, oh, sweet Christmas. You have got to be kidding me. It looked. Have you ever seen those CG, like those, not CGI, but those editing packages or those special effects packages where you can buy like $400 software for your computer and they let you animate certain stuff? But it clearly looks animated. There were some scenes in the movie that looked exactly like that, and I thought, oh man, the budget's too big for this. So there were some times where just cinematically it just looked like a green screen nightmare. I mean, you could smell the green screen on it. But then there were other times where just cinematically it was very nice. It was very well done. So you had a mix of the two. But all in all, it really just kind of did seem kind of a little bit like a CGI mess. And I hate to sound like a repetitive or repeating record because I know some other folks have said that, but I concur. I think they're right about that. So I think that the CGI coupled with the directing kind of went south in this room. As it relates to the directing, I was a little bit confused about some of the cutting or the editing choices that were made in this film. And some of the shot selection choices I was a little bit concerned with as well. I didn't understand why they chose some of the shot selections that they did, especially when they got to the island. So I had a problem with that also. Guys, all in all, this is just not a good movie. It's not a very entertaining movie. I mean, if you want to go there because you're interested in kind of seeing the special effects and how all of that plays out in this movie, then that's fine. Maybe you'll find them more enjoyable than I did. I certainly found Peter Jackson's rendition of Kong much better than this one. Story-wise and even visually, I like that story much better. I understand that Kong is part of kind of the monster universe that they're building. They started with Gareth Edwards' Godzilla in 2014, which actually I really like that movie. And now we have Kong, and I'm not sure what's coming next down the pike, but I believe they're kind of trying to build kind of like the monster universe. This is what I've heard. I haven't read anything about it. I don't know. This is what I've heard, and I think this is a step in that direction that they're trying to do. But I'm going to tell you guys, for me, as it relates to this one, I say save your money. Rent Peter Jackson's version of Kong. I think if you haven't seen it, you will enjoy it much, much more. Guys, thank you so much for taking the time out to watch this. As always, you guys, you don't know how much I appreciate it. Guys, we have hit over 400 subscribers, so I do have a Q&A video up. Please make sure that you check that out. It should pop up here sometime soon, and ask me a question. I'll be probably getting to answering those questions from here and Facebook and some other of my social media sites in the next couple of days. So I want you to get your questions in. Guys, please make sure that if you like this, you give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. I can take the criticism, but if you didn't like it, tell me in the comments below why you didn't like it. Tell me what you thought about this. If you saw it and you thought, oh, Al, you're crazy, this film was awesome, then let me know that. Guys, as always, again, thank you, and I will see you on the next video.